Hey everyone, it's Flackfire. After a long wait, Battlefield 2042 Season 7 launches on March 19th. I was fortunate enough to get an early access opportunity thanks to EA, so let's dig right into the new content. First up, let's talk about the new maps. Stadium, not available as part of this build that is going to arrive later in Season 7, but I did get to play a few rounds of Conquest and Rush on Haven. Gut kick reaction to the map is positive, but there are a few things to be aware of. To start, destruction is a big focus on Haven. The majority of buildings can be destroyed if they take enough damage. As a result, this is probably the first post-launch map that feels like a return to the roots of Battlefield. I would say it plays a lot like Eureka Harbor. There's plenty of house-to-house fighting intermixed with a few more open areas. It's also nice that vehicles are limited on Haven. You're only able to choose a tank or a light helicopter. Heavier vehicles will sit this one out, and that means more opportunities for infantry combat to shine. I said in the past, we didn't have enough of that with core Battlefield 2042, so it's nice to see that we're getting more infantry-focused maps as part of post-launch content. I think it's worth noting that in the build I played, DICE had rolled out some changes to C5. The Engineer class will still get 3 packs, while others that can equip the gadget are now limited to 2. That will undoubtedly spur a change and maybe some controversy with the meta for Battlefield 2042, give players more of an impetus to play the Engineer class. I'll reserve judgment on that until I see how it functions out in the wild, but something you should know. The map design itself is well done. On Conquest, most of the action follows the main road that cuts through the map. It's easy to traverse and understand objective locations. I found it particularly intuitive. It's not flat either. There's a gradual peak towards the center of the map that should help cut down on some of the sniper spam, maybe encourage players to explore the denser areas. Tanks and other vehicles will have an easier time on the outskirts of the map where it's a bit more open, and a talented heli pilot should be able to exploit the verticality of buildings as cover. I wouldn't recommend taking the tank up the middle of the map, as it's very easy for infantry to pop up, hit you, and then slip away. The core of the map, I would say, is definitely the market in the center of the village. El Alicanto has a bit of a tiered design, which I sort of felt was reminiscent of Vantage Point from Bad Company 2 Vietnam. Not really something I expected to see in 2024, but a welcome surprise. The checkpoint and down Condor are pretty standard fare, but I did enjoy the gas station on the map, surrounded by tankers that can explode, and it does give off that sort of Dust Bowl vibe from Battlefield Hardline. The lithium pools are tough to hold as the market opens up to it, and you'll see a lot more long-range fighting here. Rush on Haven feels like a completely different experience. Instead of the almost circular flow of the map on Conquest, it's now replaced by that familiar linear grind. It works well, but I have to say in the current build, I feel like the spawns for defenders are too far from the MCOM stations. I don't know if this is going to get addressed in time for release, so definitely make sure someone on your squad is running a recon class like SRAW and has that spawn beacon out there for the rest of your squad mates. On that note, I really enjoyed playing SRAW on Haven, as well as McKay. The latter in particular is great for getting to rooftops quickly and providing support from above. SRAW's hacking ability and proc sensors, meanwhile, great for revealing enemies and helping your team quickly eliminate them in the maze of buildings. In case you missed it, Haven will support several game modes including Conquest, Breakthrough, Rush, TDM, and Free-for-All. Up next, we can talk about the weapons. I did get hands on the AK-5C and the SCZ-3, as well as the new Predator SRAW guided missile. The DFR Strife was not available in this build, as we are expecting that later in Season 7, so we'll talk about what we can talk about. The AK-5C previously featured in Battlefield 4, so it was nice to see it make a comeback here. Operatively, the assault rifle is slanted towards accuracy and firepower. You've got the full range of customization options for the weapon as well. Tried out several combinations of those during the playtest. Personally, I prefer the harder hitting weapons with faster muzzle velocity, and the AK-5C did not disappoint. It was easy enough to control, and it felt good. On a related note, those somewhat controversial visual recoil changes were live in the build that I played. Personally, I didn't notice anything significantly different about weapon behavior, though I will say they felt a little bit bigger. I think that's what DICE was going for with this, to try to make them feel less like, little paper cardboard weapons. I was initially quite worried it was going to be over the top, but pretty happy with the result there. Disclaimer, I do play on controller, so mouse and keyboard players, you might have a different experience and opinion on this. I was really pleased with the SCZ-3, however. The submachine gun was controllable and seemed to have just a bit of reach. Certainly fits the engagement distances on Haven. I do believe DICE just announced headshot multipliers for SMGs are set to be bumped again, and those changes may have been live in this build. Not sure, but I really liked how this weapon behaved, especially when tapping off quick bursts. Meanwhile, I didn't spend a ton of time with the new gadget, the Predator SRAW. It is effective against aircraft and tanks, but you'll also probably quickly realize it's great at demolishing buildings. Certainly got some troll potential, and it fills a nice niche for those who aren't a fan of Lisa's rocket launcher but still want some extra control. Overall, I was really happy with Haven and the additions with the start of Season 7. It feels like a classic map from Battlefield Bad Company 2. With that said, again, I do think Rush here needs some work, so hopefully DICE able to address the spawns in time for the start of the season on March 19th. I'm also looking forward to Stadium, but I do want to address the elephant in the room. The biggest problem with the new content for Battlefield 2042 is just that there simply isn't enough of it. This is compounded by the fact that Haven's actually pretty good. It leaves me wanting more, especially after the long wait between Season 6 and 7. This is a sentiment I've heard repeated quite a bit lately from the community, so I'm really hopeful DICE and the rest of the Battlefield studios are now well positioned to up the number of maps per season in the future. If Battlefield 2042 is going to have a healthy population, or any chance of it, we really need to see that investment in the game's future, and the players who are playing it right now are desperate for new experiences. I'm curious what you think of Haven and the other new additions you've seen here today, so make sure to tell me your thoughts down below in the comments. Again, quick thank you to EA for giving me early access to Season 7. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If not, a dislike. Make sure to subscribe, tap the bell to get updates on the latest Battlefield news, and as always, thanks for watching.